Alrighty, back in the shop. Had fun yesterday going to Malcolm's. You know, the reason I went there because the weather was so nice. Plus it was Sunday, the weekend. I have to thank him for letting us come in and making a video. We just pull in and make the video, talk to him, and make it as real as possible. It takes a lot of courage for someone to say, yeah, he didn't care. He didn't care one bit. And I want to thank Malcolm for that because that was car content for that day. But we're back in the shop today, and we're on Doug's Jaguar, and I want to talk about Doug's Jag for a little bit, for a second. What's going on here is the bottom has already been painted. It's been painted silver. It's got a red pinstripe, and then it's got a black pinstripe. What they said was when you start peeling the black pinstripe, or peeling the pinstripe off, the paint come off the car when you peeled the pinstripe off. So what has happened is we've come in here and we stripped off all the paint that we could get at close enough. You know, we stripped it all off that we could. And I want to talk about how we stripped it. I've heard that some people will use a stripper, like a liquid stripper. You paint it on with a brush. When you use that stuff, you have to remind yourself that that stuff runs down inside the hood, and it runs in on the fenders. And sometimes that stuff runs and pulls paint off where you don't want it. Sometimes. If we were doing a complete restoration and you were stripping both sides of the panels, I would say go for it. Go for it. Do whatever you got to do to get the paint off as quick as possible. But on this one, let's face it, the liquid stripper, the paint stripper was not the application on this one. I also heard that use a finer paper. Well, if I would have used a finer paper, it would have taken me twice as long because I come in with an 80 and tried it. It would have took me twice as long, and I would have used twice the product. That's basically what happened there. When I went to the 40 grit, it quickened up the process, and also it scratched the metal, so I can polish, so I can come in, and the primer will adhere to this metal very well. I polished it off with an 80 after I stripped it with the 40. It stripped real quick because the paper is real sharp. You just got to be careful around the edges and all that sort of stuff. So to strip your car, I would say go with a 40 and then an 80, and to bring it up like this. And that's what we've done. We just 40-80. We've just stripped it. And what happens is when you're stripping it with a 40 grit, you do not. You're trying to get it to the metal where you start to see the metal, and then you try to get back off and go somewhere else. And then the 80 grit can polish it so it looks like the way it does. This stuff is very hard to strip around here, around the windows and stuff, because, let's face it, we do not want to damage the stainless that's on the car. Door handles, I'm thinking they should come off. We'll see. As we have this line here, this is where the gray comes up and it's been pinstriped. As I'm doing this, as I'm doing the car, we should all obviously know that the bottom paint job, they did not strip right to that line. They did not strip right to that line because that means that I would have to strip to this line, and I'm sure it was just sanded and taped a straight line. It's pretty hard to strip a straight line and then pinstripe and just paint down. I can't see that happening. So I'm guessing that there's black underneath the gray and there's black still on the car. And I cannot strip that right down on a straight line with that pinstripe on there like that. I just feel like that would be daunting, and wow. Anyways, we won't go there. But we're going to take a piece of 220 and try to feather that off. That's 40-80. Now we're going to step up to the 220. We're going to step up to the 220. Yeah, I think Malcolm's a good fit for that engine, eh? I say that because that's all he's got over there is big block Ford. Big block Ford. Big block Ford. That's what he's got. And I feel like he'd be a good person to tune that car. And me and Jolene would like to drive it around this summer, wouldn't we, baby? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find a panel and go for it. Let's do this front fender first. I'm just going to sand it. I'm going to feather it with a 220, and I'm going to take it right down to the green tape. And I have to do that because I want the paint to stick when we paint it. And what I'm trying to say is, I'm going to get my knee pads on, sorry about that. What I'm trying to say is, you see how I'm trying to sand that straight line. You see how I would go over a little bit, and that's why we have tape on it. We have tape on it kind of we've got 3 layers of tape on that, so we do not scratch the surface below. As soon as we scratch the surface below, we're in trouble. You know, we have made a boo-boo. So we're trying to keep it contained just to the top where we're trying to paint, and basically that's it. So I'm going to show you what's going on here. And that's all I can show you. I can only show you what I'm doing, eh? I can only show you what I'm doing. Also, when I'm sanding this, I'm trying to get right down to that tape without hurting anything. So you can imagine me trying to take a piece of paper and trying to strip that straight along that line. It's not and it's probably not going to happen that well. So what I'm going to do is just keep sanding like this, and then I'm going to prime the whole fender and hopefully feather that off. And there's a big thing going on there. When this gets primed, that line on that edge of that fender, wherever it's cut off, it really has to be feathered nice, or you'll see it. And we do not want to see anything but black paint, to be honest with you. And so after I get the car sanded around all the edges where we have it taped off, I'm going to fix a hole on the front fender where the antenna probably used to come out. Doug's got a new place on the other side. He don't want it there no more. Just trying to dig at that a little bit. This is a 220. We've used 3 pieces of paper on it so far, counting 220. We've used a 40 to strip the paint off, and then we've used an 80 to feather it off. Now I'm using the 220 to feather off the 80. And this has to be done around the whole car, around all the edges, all the way around the windows. And another thing too, I must add, if you're doing your car, I suggest you start from the top and then do the bottom, I suggest. It just got mixed up on this one because they didn't figure they were going that way with it, or Doug did not figure he was going that way with it, and it got put on the back burner. But as we're here, we're going to fix her for him. We're going to fix it for him. The most realistic way, and I find the most realistic way is whatever makes it work on the budget. That there, I'm trying to dig the sandpaper in between the 2 pieces of gap, because I want paint piled up there, and paint will pile up there again, so I'll just beat it back a little bit. It's not a bad gap, so it's not going to hurt too much. But generally you would sand all your edges like that and make sure there's no chippy poo-poos in them. So I'm just going to go down around here, around the fender and the hood. And I'm just doing the exact same thing, just going to feather it all off. You can see lead. Can you see that different color? Can you see that outline of lead? Thanks, David. I was waiting for the camera to answer me. I'm just going to sand down this edge of this hood, get off all the little chippies. Yeah, you really got to be careful when you use a liquid stripper. You would want your car in pieces, and we're not doing that on this one. So my main objective today is to get it feathered off in all the places, and I like to do it panel by panel. That way there. This is where the trouble area is where the paint meets the pinstripe. This is the troubled area. We got to get it sanded good for the paint here. And hopefully everything works out for us. That's basically it. Basically it. We got a little wide of a gap going on there. I don't know yet what we're going to do there yet. Don't know yet. It's not stopping me. It's not stopping us from painting it. But when it is painted, it could be adjusted, I guess, just as well as it could be while it's not being painted. But it's painted on the bottom, so it's just a matter of taking your time. I don't know how it adjusts yet. Don't know anything about this one yet. Haven't took it apart. Have not taken any of the paper off either, because we don't want the dust going in around everything. And I'll open the doors up and maybe take door handles off after. But for right now, I enjoy that there's no dirt going inside. It's a big thing. Because it costs you time in the end, you know, if you start doing that sort of stuff. I've done that before. That's how I learned. I've torn cars apart and threw everything on the floor and never bagged and tagged. Won't do that again. Won't do that again. Yeah, and I've known to, you know, have cars not covered up, and when you should have them covered up. I've learned that stuff. It takes time to learn it, but and when you're doing something like this, you really have to be careful that you do not take yourself backwards by damaging something else. You really have to take, you know, it really means something if you're doing it for a living, or if you're got employees or whatever you have. You really have to pay attention and not cause more damage than you need. And also, you know, I've restored a lot of cars, but I've also fixed a lot of cars that just need a little thing. And you really have to try to, like let's face it, me and Doug are trading time right now, which is cool. He's helping me and I help him. But when you're doing this for a living, you really want to make sure that you're getting it done as quick as possible and getting it out the door, sort of, I guess. If it's, you know, fixed jobs, let's face it, restorations take years sometimes. Like Jolene's car. It hasn't taken me years to get where I'm at, but we're going on 5 years now, or 6 years, you know. We kind of started it, and then we hit the TV, and then we're back on it. But we're kind of still have to, you know, I still space myself, so I feel like I'm, you know, I space myself out a little bit. I like to keep myself rejuvenated, and if I work on the car full time, it kind of gets to you. So you just move on to a different project, sort of. This right here is something different for a little bit, and it'll get me motivated to get back to work. Actually, going to Malcolm's shop made me get back to work, you know what I'm saying? I felt that I shouldn't have took the day off, but we were checking on to see if he would tune the car up for us, you know. I felt that we shouldn't have took the day off, sort of, but we did. And today, I'm going to work on Doug's car, and that motivated me to work. And we generally try to work every day. We try to. We try to work every day. If not, we use our brain for something. Then we're not wasting them 67,000 seconds, right? We got 67,000 seconds a day, is it? 84,700. What's that now? 84,700. Oh, we got 84,000 seconds. 700. Whatever, 84,000 seconds. And that was money and it was given to you. You'd spend it, no doubt. And whatever you didn't spend every day, you'd have to give it back. You'd probably try to spend it all. And that's what we try to do with our lifey poo-poo. Right, baby? So I'm just kind of sanding this off, trying to feather it off. I'll have to do that all the way around. Just going to go up here now and try to get this finished. I took an 80 and tried to strip that on the side. Yeah, it's 1.5 dozen one or the other. I either 220 it, feather it off, paint it, or I 80 it, feather the 80 off, and still have a little bit shown, you know? It's kind of half dozen one or the other. What I'm feeling for when I go like that, I do not want to feel any edge. I do not want to feel that. And if you take your finger and rub it on there, I can feel how that rises up. And when that gets primed, it's going to have to be dealt with. And 220 it off and trying to get it feathered off, but it's going to have to be dealt with. And the way we'll get it is doing a guide coat. And the way we'll get it is doing a guide coat. lead in there. It's funny when someone says my car's got no fill in it. Yeah, the bodymen know that it has fill in it because they generally put lead in the seams to fill things to make it fit. You know, every car is welded together. I mean, let's face it, the car is not just punched out and done. Like there's lead all around this, lead around this. And when you holler, my car's got no fill in it, I ain't got much more to say. You know, it's hard to holler that stuff when it does. It does. Just trying to feather that off nice. And also, when I do the priming, when I prime this car, and I do the guide coat, that will let me know all the stuff that I need to. That will let me know all the stuff that I need to do. I'm hoping. And we'll show you that process too. I've got a big job, or Jolene will help me, sure of it. I got a big job to clean out the paint room. Like we still got the 40 in there. That's going to be cleaned out. There's a couple things I'm going to paint before we get back on the Bugatti. We still haven't got the arm for it yet. We've only got one, so that's a good thing. I can give that up. And also, Jeff Webster has got one of the door wood trims. Looks like basically 90% finished, one of them. Got it all glued up and that sort of stuff. And wow, it's really looking good, you know. I told Jolene this morning, I probably should get on them seats and get them bolted in and send them off somewhere, because we're probably not going to sew up the seats. We have the material, but let's face it. Just trying to get off the chips on all the edges, that's all. That's basically all I'm trying to do. Didn't strip in there, but I sure want to get the edges off. What's it? That's lead, right? That's lead. Feathering it off. And what I mean by feathering it off, I'm just trying to make a smooth transition from the 80 grit and the bare metal to the black paint. Just make a smooth transition. Haven't made up my mind what we're doing yet for paint. I might have black here. If I have black here, I might just use what I have, and it's probably urethane. That's a one-shot deal, you know. You go ahead and paint it and you're done. There's no, you know, you go ahead and paint it and you're done. Look at that now, would you? Let me finish. I'm going to finish over here by this door handle here. Then I can move along to the other paint. I say I got that done. All right, see how it's got scratches going on there? See the scratch there? See, what I'm going to try to do is, that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to show you right in front of your very eyes what has to be done. I have to feather that black paint off so them scratches are gone. That's what I want done for the primer. And, you know, I prime all the time. I prime scratches that are deeper than that, what I just showed you. I prime them all the time, put 3 or 4 coats on them, and that primer will take it. But what I'm going for right here is I want a smooth transition from this metal to that paint. When I put the primer on, it's still going to be that there's still going to be that transition, but I'm going to try to I'm not going to try. I am going to use the primer and the thickness of it to take away that level. That's what I'll do. So in actual fact, the primer here and the primer here will be a little thinner than the primer right there. You know, it won't be that much, but I'm just trying to explain to you what I'm doing. And I will show the primer, I will show it all. But right now, just trying to feather it off. And if there's any place that's not feathered really nice, the primer and the guide coat will tell me. And this car will have to be gone over and checked because we have stripped it and I have no idea what has to be fixed yet. And I'd really only like to fix what I have to. And what I mean by that is, if I come in here and prime this lead, I can feel a little transition to it, eh? You can feel a little transition if you want to feel for it. Where the lead meets the metal is what I'm saying. I'm going to leave that, generally I could come in here and fill that out and say, yeah, it's good now. Well, I don't want to do that because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the primer on it first, guide coat it first, and see if the primer will take it. If the primer will take it, that means that Chatty don't have to. That's all that means. And I'm going to do it that way because I feel that it'll be faster for me than going and filling that out when I might not have to. And so this is what I'm thinking. When I'm priming this car, the places around here I might put a little more primer on, not on the window, on the car. I might put a little more primer around this edge. I might put a little more primer around here. I might put a little more primer on this piece of lead down here. And that's just playing the game. If I come in and spray the whole car, that's fine. But it would be a smart thing where the lead is here, come in here and give that a coat, go over there and give that a coat, maybe give this little coat of primer where there's some filler here. And what that does, it gives you product. So when it comes time to block it out, that it'll feather out and look nice. And what we use the guide coat for is so I can tell if it looks good or not. It's bulletproof sometimes. It's bulletproof sometimes if you're paying attention. And the only time it gets you is when you're not paying attention. And then when you're not paying attention and you learn something, you take it as a lesson, right? Take it as a lesson and then try not to do it again. I'm going to try to get this off. I got sweat rolling on me, baby. It's a good thing. It's nice and warm in the shop today. The weather's been so nice, eh? Got us over Malcolm's yesterday. Got to have her where you can get at her. I like that motto. Got to have her where you can get at her. Me and Joey said that a couple times last night, didn't we, baby? Got to have her where you can get at her. That must be the four-wheel drive racing talking in them. Huh? Got to have her where you can get at her. Can't shift her if you can't get at her when you're four-wheel drive bouncing around, eh? Never thought of that. And also the oil pan being built bigger for the oil, more oil bouncing around. Never thought of that either. Haven't put my brain there before. Never done it. They do quite a bit of four-wheel drive racing over in New Minas there. It was just it was just out of my realm. Just out of my realm. Imagine the fun you'd have every weekend, though, going somewhere, driving fast, and, staying different places every month, I suppose, or every weekend. I'm not sure. Not sure, don't know. So we got to go around every window, every panel, same way. Every window, every panel, the same way. We're hoping that the pinstripe stays on. We're hoping We're hoping, right? So all we can do is blow it a wish and a prayer. I'm doing the exact same wish and prayer I did for the Jaguar engine. You know what I'm saying? Is what's going on. Wish and a prayer. The windows were out at one time. He had the windows out and had them painted inside around where the windows are. I know. It would have been nice to strip them with them out, but that's another thing. When we're painting this car, we're not restoring it. With the windows out, then it's another job to keep that clean inside the car. It's like, wow, it's a big job. It's a big job. Just trying to feather out the scratches. See if I can feel it or not. And everything has to be sanded before you prime it, or should be. Everything should be sanded nicely. And anything that you see that's wrong on the paint below it, you should try to fix it before you prime it. I could go and do the DA the car and polish it one more time with a 220, but I think that would be a waste of my time and my effort when I think the primer can do the job. I'm going to have to be careful down here on the pinstripe. When you get building that primer up, it builds up. When I swept the floor here this morning, I had a pile of paint that high, and I took out to the garbage, you know, two shovelfuls of it. So you can tell there's product on this car when you start building it up. And then it comes to that line, then you build a ledge. We don't want to go there. Thinking about that stuff too, eh? Don't want to build a ledge. Right? We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. Yeah. And this is the point in time, like, you know, when you don't touch your car with greasy hands and that sort of stuff, you get cleaned up or you're half clean, you know, this is the time. I generally don't give, you know, don't stress it too much while you're working on it and you're digging at it and you're welding on it, you don't stress it then. But let's face it, when you're coming down to the priming area, the priming time and the paint work, that's when you should be more careful around your paint. So, on this application, I'm thinking that we did the right thing by stripping it 40-80 because that was the fastest way. And I know that because I tried the 80 grit and I would have used a lot more material. I would have used a lot more materials. Got to get her stripped off down in here. That can be, this back piece can be DA'd off. But you can see, it's nice. I like sanding paint because you can see where all the boo-boos were, you know. When you sand a fresh coat, or when you sand paint like new like that, you can sand it. You can see where all the boo-boos are. You can see all the dirt in it. You can see all there shouldn't be any fish eyes, but you can see all where it's rough. And it's kind of like I got a drop of paint there or something, right? That's what happened there. Someone was painting, a drop of paint dropped. And you know how I know that? Because it's happened to me. But this is my chance to sand it out just like that. Keep going, man. I fixed it for you. He probably wished he could have fixed it when it happened. But just trying to make it smooth here. And I just got to feather it up a little bit. Scratches in here. See the scratches there? Just got to feather that down so there's no scratches in it. And if I don't, you know what? I really do feel the primer could take those scratches. But where I have to sand all the paint, I guess basically it's the time right now to feather them out and get them out so the primer doesn't have to do it. Or do less work for the primer. Less work for the primer. That's what that's called. Less work for the primer. Fingering around the scratches there. Yeah, so when you're spraying the primer on your car, you would always spray it to your advantage. Anything you do on your car, work it to your advantage, I would say. And what I mean by your advantage is the easiest way possible to get the job done. You know, when I stripped this car, I took the advantage of the sharper paper to get it done quicker and faster and that sort of stuff. Yes, I could have done it with an 80 grit. It would have took me twice as long. And I've been mad and disgusted by the time I was done. And if you were getting paid for it, the bill would be too high. In my opinion. In my opinion is like a belly button. Everybody's got one. Right? Just my opinion, man. Just my opinion. Don't let me offend you. Not one little bit. Do not let me offend you. But if I can help you to get it done faster, but go for it. Yeah. Wouldn't you? I would. I would. Me and Jolene are brainstorming about this summer. We're brainstorming this summer. That's what we do, and that's what everybody should do in life. Brainstorm about how they can go forward. And we have been brainstorming. I'm not going to tell you all the details right this moment, but we would, if car shows are not going to become, we are brainstorming. Aren't we, baby? Yeah. That's what we're doing. That's a bit dirty yet. Should almost wash that off, maybe. I'm going to get some more paper. See stuff like this that's gouged out there? That's how quick you can hit something with a stripper wheel or anything like that, and it just mess you up. Just mess you up, just like, But I'm sanding this off, put more primer on it. But that's how it happens when I hit the trunk lid, hit that, and you get yourself in trouble. When you're going around glass and stuff, and you haven't got it taped up, and you wang it with a stripper, well, you've just cost yourself a windshield and an in and out process of putting it back in and out. You know what I'm saying? When you strip in a car and you hit the windshield or you've just caused yourself the windshield, taking it out, putting it back in a brand new window. I've done it. When you're sandblasting, you're not paying attention, you got the windows down and the windows inside the car and you got a hole there where the door handle was. When you sandblast the window, you've got to put a new window in it. Then it means you have to tear out the glass, tear out the side door, and fix it. How do I know this? I've done it. I've done it. So when you do it, you're not alone. You just got to fix it. And it tells you, in the end, what kind of person you are. Whether you say, I'm going to keep with it, or I'm not going to keep with it, because, whether you want to take responsibility for it or not. And that's where it's at, generally. Because you can't mess up too much doing this stuff. Because, it's all about survival. And I act the way I act. Not act the way I act, but I am the way I am because of what I've went through in my life. And I don't know what to say. I've been to the bottom. I know what it's like. I've lived where survival is the thing. It's not a good place to be because you don't know what you're capable of doing. But it does give you the mind to know and to reflect from what's right and what's wrong. I've been there. And that's why I try to do things as quick as possible and try to be fair as I can, generally on everything, because I know what it feels like to be there. And what I mean to be there is just, survival. Some people haven't been to survival in their life. It's not a good place, but it sure does let you know who you are. I know who I am, and I know who I want to be. And for the rest of my time, I just want to be a good person. And that takes me learning every day. That takes me to learn every day, I have to learn every day. If I'm not learning, I'm repeating in my brain, I play the game repeat. What did I do yesterday that I didn't like? Then I try to fix it the next day, And it's like Jim told me, whatever I'm not willing to carry, the good Lord above will. I'll meet him when I get there. You know what I mean? I guess that's what Jim told me. He's already signed, sealed. He's going to heaven. His contract has been signed, isn't it, baby? His contract has been signed. That was a good motivational speech that day, what he said that day at supper. It was, yeah. He said it's easier to believe in something than it is nothing. How could you believe in nothing when you could believe in something? And that's not me preaching to anybody, that's just me talking out loud. Right? I didn't mean talking out loud. Last time I was in church, I went to Sunday school. I was making a rocket. I don't know what happened from there. In Woodburn. That's what I really did enjoy about Sunday school, is you got a chance to use them scissors and glue and all that sort of stuff, eh? It's fun. Fun stuff. Maybe that's so good, well, you know, why I get good at doing that. Man, I'm moving along now, baby. Trying to get her done right in front of your very eyes, man. I still got a piece I got to put on the fender over there. Another piece. And this sort of sanding I'm doing right now, I'm bearing down, trying to get it off, trying to feather out the scratches, trying to get it off. Right, there's certain times when you bear down, and there's certain times when you go easy. And I guess the way I can tell, I guess the way you tell, is that you see no scratches in the black paint, you just see it feathered off to the gray. You know, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Deep down, I really want to start another piece of junk. I want to cut a piece of junk apart, and I'm all about the visuals, you know. I know what Jolene's car is going to look like. I know. It's going to be beautiful, I know. But in my little heart, I like to cut stuff apart and do visual things, you know. Quick things. The little bike was fun to do. That was fun to do and hang in the house. That was fun. I enjoyed that. But I like the old junk visuals. I've been looking out there around the old yard, and there's some visuals out there, that's for sure. Well, I think we'll paint her with that in there. Got a few pine bristles in there in the old gas tank. That's where squirrels live, Doug. That's where the squirrels live. I could tell you a joke about that, but I don't know if it's camera fit. I don't know if it's camera fit. Better not. But I got a joke about squirrels. Do you know the joke about squirrels, baby? Broomstick? I'll tell you later. I'll tell my baby after we get off the old tube. So you see why painting cars, if you get into it, it's a thing you have to work at. You know, you should work, something you have to work at, sand hard. If you don't, it never gets done. Generally, it never gets done. What I'm feeling for is edges. Got a little bit of paint on that edge, just trying to... It's hard to believe, I know. It's hard to believe, but anything you feel and you see, the paint will tell on you. The paint will tell on you. The paint, generally, is the truth teller. It has no bias. It will tell you when it looks good, when it looks bad. It has no bias, believe me. The old paint. When we paint this, I will go to Princess Auto or whatever. We'll use a brand new gun, and we'll try to get it on sale for $39.99. And we'll use a brand new gun to spray it. And that's generally what I do with every car that we spray. I will buy a new gun. And for $39, why would anybody question it, you know? It's a brand new gun, you got no dirt, you got no cleanup. I do not enjoy the cleanup of the gun. I'm not partial to the gun. I have no emotions towards the gun. I just use them to paint the car. And once the gun is done its job, I use it for priming, and I will probably paint a few other things with it, but I generally do not spend a lot of time with that. I hate to say it, I spray and chuck. The time that it takes to clean a gun every time, not into it. Not into it. I could stand in the other room and wash a gun out for a half hour, I guess. I don't want to. I don't want to, man. I don't want to do that. So what I do is I just spray and chuck. And you can get them on sale. You can even get them cheaper, probably. But that's what they cost here at Princess Auto. That's what they cost. And what they cost is what they are. Huh? Looking good, hey baby? Huh? Looking good. Me or the car? Aw, thanks, baby. Oh, we set the car? Yeah, I get it like that. Here, sand it down. That's basically what we're going to do. All around the edges, around this, edge around the back, around the trunk lid. Then we'll go down here and fix. Man, I'm fast. It's already done. Sand around here. Where the metal is sanded like that, the 4080, the primer will adhere very, 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 very nice. There'll be no miscommunication there whether the primer should stick or not. I can tell you that for sure because it's scratched up, and that's when it works the best. That's when it works its best. Have to be careful this stuff. Just trying to feather it off nice. That's all I'm trying to do. See, what would you say that is? I would say, if the camera people look at that, when you're saying that, I would say that is a small dent, and I'll tell you why, because there's still primer there. Looks like a small dent going on there. You know what I mean? Places like that. That's how you tell. When you sand it off and the paint still stays in certain places, that's what it tells you. Oh yeah, I'm mic'd up, ain't I? I better not sing. I'll sing a solo. Solo, you can't hear me. Like, share, comment, please and thank you. All the people talking beforehand's cool. I guess they call you the mob, don't they? The mob. Huh? The mob. I see a few names on there all the time. Bold and Dangerous is it? Bold and Dangerous. Joe Salsa. Corey. He's got a lot of funny things to say. What's the other guy that always donates? He got a different name. Tony? Yeah, Tony Edward. And then there's a good, I don't know how it's spelled. And the guy always, there's a Getchit or something. What's that guy's name? I'm thinking of the last name. If I don't get your name, I'll get it this time. Wow, Bill. A few names on there that I can. Yeah, that's what it is. Festo. That's what it is. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, tea time. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Cool. My baby knows some names. Lindsay, yeah. I want to thank you all for coming on and watching and and asking more people to join. That's cool. Enjoy it. I enjoy it. You can see how I'm rubbing that 220 on the metal, how it's smooth. It can bring it up shinier and shinier. I know it's hard to believe that metal can be polished, but you can. You can polish it to a piece of chrome if you want to. Polish it to a piece of chrome if you want to. All right, I'm going up in here. Ring the bell, boys, ring the bell. Everything's up in the air for us right now. I think it's contract time, ain't it, baby? Contract time. It's hard to know, you know, whether it's going to happen or not. We have no idea until the good Lord above lets us know. But we have no idea. But we're having fun doing this. I know that for sure. Having fun doing this, doing the YouTube every day. It's kind of cool. It keeps us doing things, you know. It keeps us busy. We'd also stay busy if we weren't doing it, obviously. You have to work, obviously, but it's going good. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I enjoys it. That green tape's on there just for protection, always. Just for protection. You can see that I'm just trying to feather this off a bit more. I got a scratch in the black. I can see a little scratch in the black. Just trying to dig it back a little further. See a little scratch right there? Just trying to dig it back a little further. Just trying to feather it out. If you can feel it, I can feel it. If you can see it, I can see it. How's that? That's how it goes. For me, anyways, that's how it goes. Get this one sanded. The edge of the door should all be done. See if there's any chips or anything. Make sure the edge of the doors are all done. And that's what it's for. Just trying to, if you keep building up the product on the edge of the doors, that's when you'll get gapping issues, and that's when you'll get chips. So this door, see how this door, this is where you can, what can I say? This is where the process of building a car or doing bodywork on a car becomes lengthy and takes a long time and makes it look just a little bit more, nicer to me. See how this door is actually on there perfectly for filling the car out. And I'll say that because the door fits ever so nice right there, and it's a little high all the way up through here. And that's where you put the fill on the quarter panel and you block them together so each one didn't have a different distance. You know what I mean? Then they would fit exactly together. The fill would not go on the door. It'd go on the edge of this. They get a little bit there. It would go on the edge of this quarter panel, but it would make it fit perfectly. When you sand it off this edge, you would never see it or notice it. And that's how you get very straight and perfect cars, because they're not. That's factory. That's factory. But the stuff that is beyond factory, that's hand done, and it's done with a little trick of putting the mud on the quarter panel instead of the edge of the doors. That's how that's done. If you want something like that, let's face it, that takes time, costs more money, and is it necessary? I don't know. And that's all up to the person that owns the car. It's all up to the person that owns the car. And you would know that by the instructions. I want my car to be this, and that, and I want all the gaps right and all that sort of stuff. And that's where you would go. So you start look at stuff like this, a little narrower there, a little wider down there. And that can be just as easy as a zip cup going up the edge of the door, welding the edge back together, and making the perfect gap. But, you know, we're doing a paint job. We're not doing a gap job. But that's where the hours can be taken if you want to restore something that's close to being the best it can be. Close to being the best it can be. I'll go around, get that door done, get that fender done. And we'll color it. Don't matter, I'm still going to go. I can talk to you anyways, no matter. If I don't talk to you, it's not because I don't want to. It's just I'm working. Ain't nothing to say. Trying to get that feathered down. Yeah. You would never generally sand a car like I'm doing like that right now with your fingers like this. But I am trying to get this little bit of paint right here. These fingers up here don't much matter because it's primer. When I sand the primer, I will not sand like that with my fingers like that because that's not good. You'll leave finger lines. But right now I'm trying to get down on the paint. So all the pressure generally is just down on that one finger along that edge. When you sand paint, you should swipe it like this. Not like this with your fingers, not like this. Like this. Swipe it. And if you guide coat, you can almost watch yourself finger sand if you want to. You can catch yourself finger sanding if you want. If it does help out. Taking off the paint on the edges again. Just making sure. Doug's gonna love me when I'm done. Can't though, Doug. Jolene does. Jolene's. He's gonna love me when I'm gonna get a coat of black paint on it for him, eh? He get a sporter this summer. That's good. Yeah, I really give my hats off to Doug, you know. 80 years old, still buying, restoring, fixing, doing things, working, just giving her, eh? You gotta give your hats off to people that are like that. You have to look up to them because they're the people we want to be like, if you know what I'm saying. You don't use it, you lose it. Right? Don't use it, you lose it. Jolene said, "How do we sand up in there?" Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll shove a piece of paper up in there and sand it. Not a piece of paper. Maybe we'll do a scratch pad or something and haul it down through there a couple times. You know what I mean by scratch pad? You can get them green, you can get them red, you can get them different colors. And a scratch pad is just something that can form to a shape, and you can get it in there to get it sand to do the job. Get it to do the job. I will say that the paint sands nice, but it pulls off the car because of the lacquer primer. I don't want to throw I don't like saying bad stuff about cars, to be honest with you. I got nothing bad to say about the car. Still here. I generally just like to try to see the good. If you try that, especially when, yeah, when your temper's easy to change, it's best to try to look in the good. Right, baby? Yeah, you gotta have somewhere to focus. Somewhere to focus. I want to take the door handles off, and I don't want to take the door handles off, and Jolene's saying, no, don't take them off. Doug said no, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. That's going to be a controversy. The door handles would be nice to be off so I can paint it. And there's a little bit of rust up around, easier sand to strip there. He's saying, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, baby. Just trying to get the scratches out of the gray. That's all I'm trying to do. Same as over there. At any point in time, this car can be stripped down further. It's just where we're at for this moment, for this job, I guess. We still got the front. There's the sand in the front here. Just trying to get the sandpaper down and do both edges at the same time. Come on, baby. There. I'm going to get a new piece of paper, go around that antenna. I would generally use not stickies to sand the car down, but I went to the sanding drawer and there was no sheets of 220 there, so that's why I'm using it like this. It's a little more expensive this way, but I'm using what I have. I'm not calling for going and getting some more paper when I can use what I have. That'd be another thing too, when I go to prime this, I'll prime around the edge a little bit first to give myself pushing off this way, sanding this way feathers it off, sanding this way digs it off. It's just hard to get at. Also, sanding cars is a good workout. If you work at it, work hard, it's a good workout. Keep the camera moving kind of fast. All right. Trying to get that around there. Trying to get these scratches out right here. You can see these scratches. See them scratches right there? I got to at least sand it down to get them scratches out. Well, I want to, I guess, just because of the primer. Or when I primer it. The primer would take it, but that just lets me know that I've got it feathered out good. Oh, sorry. Go around the other side. Yeah, this feels good. Feels good. Feels good, man. And if it doesn't turn out good the first time, sand it down, paint it again. It's basically the end of the story, isn't it not? If it doesn't turn out, you do it again. Most nice cars you're doing twice anyways, because you want to just throw the paint on and get a nice paint job on it, smooth it out, flatten it out, and then go for it again. It generally seems to be a little bit cleaner the second time, because the car, all the dust is blown out of it. It all depends what you're going for. I'm going for shiny black paint on this one. All right, baby. Shiny black paint. Shiny black paint. Right around here. I don't think we're going to have too much of an issue with, seeing the edge on everything. The issue is going to be right here when we pull the tape off, the silver, the red pinstripe and the black pinstripe. That's where the issue is going to be. And for right now, I'm not going to make it an issue, but that's the only issue, I think. Right now, everything's going wonderful. Right? Going wonderful. Going good. Paint sanding good, feathering good. See how I sit on the edge of the roof? This little edge here is nice because you can just sand it off. There's no real feathering. It's just called, yeah, I guess it's feathering, but it's not as bad as that one, as this one here. It's on the edge. Just has to be sanded. We're out there looking at the 62 this morning, trying to see when we're going to get it out. I was overseeing Malcolm, wanting to get it out. There's that much snow behind that building out there, and it's all ice. It's probably going to be the last car that we can move. Isn't it? It's probably going to be the last car we can move. Yesterday was nice. We got to go down to our other place. I guess we called our little, cottage. We go there and have barbecues and stuff. And that's where we take our stuff we like to look at. But we had a good day down there yesterday, sitting down, just chilling like villains and, relaxing. I like to look at the stuff that we collect. I'm giving Jolene so much responsibility. I'm the kind of guy, if I got a little bit of money, I'd like to buy things. I like to buy stuff. I'd rather buy something and be happy than have a little bit of money and, I don't know, what do I do with that? I like to acquire things and look at them and collect things and go places. And yeah, that's what I feel like it's about. I feel like if you're smart, you can make it a better investment. If you're smart, you can make a better investment buying a house, a car, or a bike, or an antique than you would be leaving your money in the stock markets. And the reason I say that is because it's a lot more fun to buy something that you think you can go forward than it is to, it doesn't seem like much of a game really to put money into something and then see if it grows or not. To me, the thrill of the hunt, the buying it, the thinking it's worth more than what you're paying for it, the process of fixing it up in your brain, what is the right way to go, what's not the wrong way to go, and then being able to touch and feel it at any time and get an enjoyment of it is where I'm at. That's where I'm at. If I got a little bit of money, I'm buying something. Basic and simple. I'd rather play with it. I'd rather have it visible than have it sit somewhere and I have no idea. I like that. Some people like to invest their money and do it that way, but there's so many things out there that can do that for you. For example, like when you're collecting things, a 70 Hemi Cuda. I don't know what the case is, but they're probably 4,000 or 5,000 in 1970. 4,000 or 5,000 by the time you paid your taxes and everything. In 2007, one sold for $2 million. Your $4,000 would not give you $2 million. I can guarantee you that. If you know what I'm trying to say. And it's fun to do that game in your head, and it's all in your head because it really doesn't much matter as long as you're happy. As long as you're happy. Money does not make you happy. Money does not make you happy. You have to be happy on your own. You can still be money and be unhappy, that's for sure. Money does not make happiness. Money does not make happiness, not even close. Not even close. Happiness comes within. Money makes it so you don't have to sleep outside. That's what money does. Money makes it so you don't have to sleep outside. Being happy comes from some other place. Becoming happy becomes from recognizing what you enjoy. That's where happiness comes from. If you have not recognized yet what you enjoy, I can see how somebody could not be happy if you haven't recognized it. So you have to ask yourself, everybody that watches this YouTube station, have you ever asked yourself what makes you happy? You have to ask yourself to know. You'd have to ask yourself to know. I know what makes me happy. Don't I, Jolene? Huh? I know what makes me happy. But yeah, you have to ask yourself what makes you happy. Go for it. And remember, if you're not happy, you can never expect to make someone else happy, right? Make yourself happy first. Make yourself happy first. And then you'll make somebody happy, I guarantee it. Then you'll make somebody happy. Make yourself happy. I know it seems selfish, but that's where it's got to start. You can't start on somebody else you don't know. You have to start on yourself. You have to start on yourself. I'm happy as a lark. I mean, I'm the happiest I've been in my life. Right now, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. You know why? Because I've asked myself. I've asked myself. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. This YouTube thing has been actually good for me because I get to keep busy. I get to keep busy. That's what it is. I get to keep busy. And basically, you have to ask yourself, could you give daily content every day? It's a hard thing, but I am happy doing it because it keeps me thinking, and it keeps me moving, and it keeps me everything. I don't use it, I'll lose it, if you know what I'm trying to tell you. But it keeps me busy is what it does, this YouTube thing, and I appreciate everybody that comes on. I really do. I appreciate it. And I hope that you have a good life just like I'm having, and get to play on the cars that you want to play with, and talk to the people that you want to talk to, and do the things that you want to do, because that's generally what I do. I take all that in my own hands. If I'm not interested in something, I make sure that they know or I know. and I let it lie there because that's what I like. And it does not matter to me because I'm happy. Is that good enough? I got this little bit here to do. Stay with me. We'll sand this off, and then we can say that I went around the car. Just do this little bit right here. It's a long video. Little kid walked down to his father. He's 5 years old. He said, Dad, he said, I want to have sex. His father said, no, son, you're too young for that. You can't have sex. What are you talking about? He said, maybe when you're 16 or something like that, when you become a young man. He said, but I'll tell you what. He said, you can practice. He says, there's a tree out there with a knot in it. He said, go for it. So the young fella took off and never come back. 12 years old, he came back. He said, Dad, he said, I want to have sex. I want to become a man. He said, son, you're too young yet. He said, go out to the old oak tree, and there's a knot out there, go for it. Young fella took off, and you never heard from him for a bit. His father come home one day and had an escort with him. Son, he said, you're 16. He said, here you go. Here's your dream. He said, take her upstairs and see what you think or what you don't think. Father's sitting downstairs, and he heard this awful screaming and hollering going on. Jeez, I got to go upstairs. He goes upstairs, and young fella's standing there with the broom. He said, his father looked at him. He said, what are you doing, son? He said, what are you doing? He said, I'm checking for squirrels. Anyways, we'll end it on that. Have a good day, everybody.